the end, I said they could prove they were sorry by forwarding me the $100,000 my degree and college expenses were, just like they did for my brothers. My mom burst into tears, and my dad said I wasn't being serious, and I just left. Since then, I've been getting calls from my brothers telling me I'm being immature and hurtful. I don't think so at all. Not the asshole. Hi from another engineer from a family filled with rage that she has all the talent the boys was never up to. As far as I can see, your answer to them was perfect. It was very fair, and if they have fixed their appalling bigotry issues, they would be falling all over themselves begging you to take the money. Since they clearly have not fixed their bigotry, you don't want them around your child. Never, ever poison children by allowing bigots in their presence. No exceptions. That includes your bigoted brothers. Edited to add, I have a bachelor's, master's, and doctorate all in engineering. You have no idea how angry this makes them. Hopefully you will too, and we can all watch the bigots faint from sheer rage together. Bwahaha. Not the asshole, that's a generic sorry you're upset non-apology. They're just around now because they want to influence the baby. The $100K ask is fair if they have the means to pay it. Wow. I would typically say that you would be the asshole because expecting money from a family is never a good thing, but I am making an exception here. No, you're not the asshole. Being singled out like that because you are a woman is gross, and it's terribly unfair that your brothers got a free ride and you didn't for that one fact. Good on you though for making your own way in spite of them. Not the asshole. I'm proud of you, by the way. Despite your upbringing, you persevered. Keep staying strong and standing your ground. Not the asshole. Only showing up now to save their grandchild's soul. They just want to push their crap onto the next generation. I don't see a way how anyone could see that this person is the asshole, because this person is definitely not the asshole. Am I the asshole for sleeping naked on top of the covers to teach my flatmates GF a lesson? This should be good. New to Reddit, please bear with. So I, 21 guy, live with my childhood best friend, 22 also guy, and have done so for 2 years now. Up until last week, things were perfect between us. However, he recently got a new girlfriend, 23 lady, and she honestly seems absolutely great except for one thing. She seemingly has a complete aversion to knocking. She and I have quite a lot in common, and I actually like spending time with her. However, it bugs the hell out of me when she just barges into my room without knocking first. Now, she's never walked in on me doing anything untoward. I'm usually just chilling on my bed or studying at my desk. However, on at least 7 separate occasions now, she's done it first thing in the morning to ask if I want coffee. I sleep naked. Every time prior to the last one, I've been under the covers and she hasn't seen anything. I always point out that she could have, and she just giggles and says, but I didn't. When she stayed over last week in order to make my point, I intentionally slept on top of the covers. Sure enough, she barges in at 7 a.m., begins to ask if I want coffee, and sees my you-know-what. She immediately backed out of the room and didn't speak to me for the rest of the day. My mate later pulled me aside and said I was bang out of order, accused me of deliberately exposing myself, and pointed out that I'd threatened to do it before. I literally just said, okay, but what if I had no covers on and you saw everything before? They're now framing this to others that I'm some sick creep who intentionally got naked and lay in wait of her because that's how I get my rocks off. And I'm kind of seeing how it came off that way. Am I the asshole for doing this? Not the asshole. She knew it was a risk when she barged in. How is she not the pervert? Also, have you considered getting a lock? Everyone sucks here. She needs to respect privacy, but yeah, you knew full well what she would do, and rather than talk to your friend like an adult about how uncomfortable it makes you, you knowingly and deliberately exposed yourself to her. Edit, a lot of people have replied asking how it's deliberate, and I've said it a few times, but he knew she'd see him naked. He was exposed where he had previously not been exposed. And knowing she entered his room without knocking, he knew she would see him naked. His intent was that she see him naked. Edit 2. I think it may seem like I don't think she's as in the wrong, but I think she's more in the wrong. But why she sucks is obvious and requires little explanation. Spending more time explaining why I think he sucks too is necessary, and may have given the false impression that I think he's more wrong. My apologies for not making that clear in the first place. I hadn't expected for this to get more than almost no attention. Everyone sucks here. Might be that I'm the minority here, but everyone in this is the asshole. Her for not being a decent person and knocking, the BF for not explaining the rules of the house and generally letting this stuff happen, and you for being so petty as to deliberately expose yourself to your friends to make a point. I get your thought process and all that, but there were several other things that you could have done first instead of that. I mean, you did this intentionally so she would see you naked. That was your goal, even if the reason behind it was to punish her and not for sex reasons. So they're not entirely wrong. Everyone sucks here, but they suck a lot and you only suck a little. Yeah, definitely you made the big jump there, buddy. I probably wouldn't have done that. I would have talked to my friend, my childhood best friend, but no, you expose yourself to somebody without their consent. So I think everybody does suck here. Am I the asshole for telling my girlfriend to shut the f*** up after she insulted my sister's thighs? I'm 30 and my 12-year-old sister is living with me right now because mom and pops are vulnerable, so it made more sense for me to care for my sis for the time being. She is really a great kid, and TBH, I feel in a lot of ways she's like my own kid because my mom and dad don't speak English, so I kind of had to raise my sis in ways that they couldn't. Hard to explain, but I'm sure anyone with a secondary culture will get what I mean. My mom and dad are great parents, but having an English-speaking person to guide you through stuff when you live in an English-speaking country is invaluable, IMO. And my sister trusts me with stuff she won't necessarily trust my parents with. Anyway, my girlfriend was FaceTiming me and my sister walked past in shorts and a t-shirt because it's hot. My GF waited till my sister had left the area, but not the room, and made a face and said, maybe feed her less OP, her thighs are kind of chunky. I saw red and told her to shut the f*** up. Just came out of my mouth and immediately ended the call. My sister is a bit chubby, but for fuck's sake, who says stuff like that about a 12-year-old girl? Literally everybody I know has been texting me that I'm a POS boyfriend and that how can I disrespect my girlfriend like that? I'm expecting an apology from her, but to my shock, everybody is expecting me to apologize. So Reddit, am I the not 12-year-old girls are incredibly vulnerable to body image issues. You're absolutely right to shut down such comments immediately. Not the throw the whole girlfriend away, family first. Are you the for telling your girlfriend to shut the up after she insulted your 12-year-old sister's thighs? Think about this. She insulted a 12-year-old. She is either a mean girl or she is jealous of your sister / relationship with your sister. Neither optic looks good. So not the for telling your ex-girlfriend to shut the up for insulting your sister. Everybody sucks here. The amount of red flag, hope she's your ex, and so on are typical of Reddit black or white replies. What she said was likely directed at OP alone and not for the little sister's ears. It could have been a poor attempt at concern or equally a mean-spirited jab. We don't know because we have no tone of voice, facial expression, or any other communication tools to judge. OP definitely overreacted though, and she put her foot in her mouth. This last guy is dumb. That's not, there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for insulting a 12-year-old when you're in your 30s. Messed up. They're the Am I the for telling the girl who kissed my boyfriend for a play that she is desperate and pathetic? I, 19F, study drama at uni, and my boyfriend is on the same course. My boyfriend is a really good-looking guy, but he doesn't seem to know it. He gets a lot of attention from girls, and for the most part, doesn't seem to get that they're flirting with him. I'm not generally annoyed by this, and never really say attention from girls. There's one girl in our class, doesn't seem to get that they're flirting with him. I'm not generally annoyed by this, and never really say attention from girls. There's one girl in our class, doesn't seem to get that they're flirting with him. I'm not generally annoyed by this, and never really say attention from girls. There's one girl in our class, doesn't seem to get that they're flirting with him. I'm not generally annoyed by this, and never really say attention from girls. There's one girl in our class, doesn't seem to get that they're flirting with him. I'm not generally annoyed by this, and never really say needed to happen. You try to ignore it, but she kept pushing. Everyone sucks here. This entire thing is very teen. Hopefully you'll both grow out of it soon. Everybody sucks here. You're teenage drama students, so I guess I shouldn't be surprised that there's so much teenage drama here. But come on. You couldn't think of a more appropriate way to address this woman's relentless and obvious daily pursuit of your boyfriend over the course of weeks, if not months, than shouting at her at a party in order to humiliate her? You couldn't, I don't know, at any time just say, hey, I don't know if you realize, but boyfriend and I are in a committed relationship. You all need to grow up. Yeah, probably everybody does suck here. Definitely didn't have to take it that far. I know Victoria is definitely in the wrong, but so are you. Am I wrong for using flashcards to explain to my brother and his wife why they can't bring their rainbow baby to my wedding? Am I the a-hole for refusing to tell my husband the gender of our baby after he skipped going to the doctor's appointment with me? Am I the bad guy for walking out of the airport when I saw my husband's mom standing there with her luggage? I, F30, don't have the best relationship with my husband's mom. Since day one, she tried to make remarks and compare me to her. She then tried to get on my good side and started overly praising everything I do, and sometimes even copying me, like that one time when she literally dyed her hair purple, just like mine. And when everyone pointed out how ridiculous she looked, she actually blamed me and accused me of trying to make a joke out of her. So, anyways, my husband and I took 2 weeks off work to go visit some places out of the country. Tourism, in other words. Thing is, I was the one who saved up for and arranged for the trip. My husband was responsible for booking the tickets. My husband's mom wanted to come along and threw temper tantrums when I said no. She called, texted, sent people to talk to me into letting her come, even threatened to call the police and make some complaint up to get us to stay if she can't come. My husband said we should just take her, but I told him he was wrong to tell her about the trip in the first place. He gave me an ultimatum, said he wouldn't go if she can't come, and I told him I'd gladly call his bluff, which made him take his words back and say, fine, I will tell her to stop it because we won't take her. Things got quieter, suspiciously quieter. The day of the trip came and we got to the airport at 2 p.m. My husband was was walking ahead of me and was looking left and right like he was looking for someone. I asked him, but he didn't respond. He led me to the waiting area, and first thing I saw was his mom standing there with her luggage. I froze in my spot. I felt a cold wave washing over me, and I was fuming inside. She and my husband were hugging. That's when I quietly turned around and started walking towards the exit. My husband followed me while shouting at me to stop. He tried to stop me, but I told him off the harshest way possible. He tried to say that I was overreacting and that his mom was there anyway, and I should let it go and not mess the trip up for us. I told him that he and his mom could still go and that I was going home. I went home and sobbed into my dog's fur for several minutes. Turned out he booked her a ticket without me knowing. An hour later, he came home yelling and raging about how pathetic and spiteful I was to walk out and go home and ruin the trip last minute. I told him he caused this to happen. He said that I was being so hard on his mom, it's ridiculous. I refused to fight anymore, but he kept on berating me and then called my family to tell them that the trip was canceled and that it was because of me. My family said that I shouldn't have ruined it for myself and should have sucked it up and done my best to enjoy. Did I really overreact? You're married to a man who is already married to his mother. You're the other woman. She was planning on sharing the hotel room and bed with y'all too? Not the bad guy. And run. Not the bad guy. You actually helped him and his mom to have the romantic getaway they really wanted. I mean, plain and simple. You gotta leave this guy, because I wouldn't want, like, my spouse to have a weird relationship with their mother like that. I wouldn't want my spouse picking their mom over me in a situation like that. That's terrible. Not the bad guy. Am I in the wrong for storming off from my sister's wedding after she dead named my son? I'm a 45-year-old single father of 3. Their mom died 10 years ago. I have 3 sons, 17-year-old Andrew, 15-year-old Connor, and 14-year-old Max. Connor was born female. He is trans. He came out as trans 5 years ago and has now socially transitioned, not yet physically. My sister, 38F, just got married. Me and my sons were also invited. My family has known that Connor is trans for 2 years now. Some have adjusted well and some not so much. My sister is pretty indifferent about it. Her wedding was super well organized to the last detail. She wanted all the men to wear shirt and tie and then women sundresses. I texted her a picture of our outfits the day before the wedding and she said, "Where's Naya's dress?" I was a bit surprised and I told her not to dead name my son and that he'll be wearing a shirt and tie like the rest of the men there or we aren't coming. She said fine, and that was it. At the reception, my sister got mad that Connor was wearing a tie, but didn't say much after that. When we sat down at our table, the card Naya, I went to my sister and she said she used their real name. I told her me and the boys are leaving, and she told me, "Don't you dare cause a scene at my wedding. Naya can be a guy any other day." I called her a bigot and we left. My family says I ruined her wedding. With an attitude like that, I'm sure the sister will be a bride again before long, so ruining this wedding was no big issue. You stood up for your kid. That makes you a wonderful parent. Definitely not in the wrong. Yeah, I mean, how could you be in the wrong here for standing up for your trans son? Like, that's gives me the freaking heebie-jeebies, man. Like, I am physically disgusted by that woman, you know? It's just gross. Trans rights, by the way. Am I the jerk for silently getting up and walking out of the restaurant during New Year's Eve dinner after I was told to pay for everyone at the table? My in-laws? I, F32, recently inherited a good amount of money from my mom. I keep the money in a separate account as I still haven't decided what to do with it, and I didn't want it to go to waste. I noticed my husband constantly bringing up the inheritance money and making countless suggestions as to how I should spend it. Another thing is that he expects me to pay for nearly everything the past couple weeks. For New Year's Eve, my husband and I met up with his family at a restaurant to celebrate. It was going fine until I found out that I was expected to pay for everyone at the table. My husband's mom joked about paying for dinner out of my inheritance pocket, which made me livid, but I showed no reaction. Just silently paid for my own food and drinks, then got up and made my way out of the restaurant. They were shouting after me like a crowd, and my husband tried to get me to come back, but I drove home. He got back at 3 a.m. yelling at me, saying I was pathetic to get up and walk out on him and his family after they relied on me to pay for their food, and thought I was gracious enough to do it, but they were wrong. He said I humiliated him and family, and that what I did was an attempt to get back at them for not being able to help mom when she was sick. Not true is all I'm gonna say. He is mad and is saying that I caused a huge rift between his family and me, when it wouldn't have hurt me to pay for the celebratory dinner. Am I the jerk? So let me get this straight. Your mother died after an illness, and the thing your in-laws take from this is great. Now she can pay for everything. Yeah, not the jerk. They act like you won the lottery and not buried your mother. I'm sorry for your loss. Oh, in-laws. So many horror stories about the in-laws. Why are older adults so bad? Why are old people so wrong? Am I in the wrong for switching to regular milk to prove my lactose intolerant roommate keeps stealing from me? Me and 2 other guys share an apartment together and we split all the bills. The only thing we don't split costs on is groceries. Everyone is in charge of buying their own food and we don't touch whatever doesn't belong to us in the fridge. We put our names on everything so no one gets mixed up. The issue has been going on almost a year and I'm sick of it. One of my roommates, R, keeps stealing my food. I get home from work, and containers with my leftovers are sometimes missing. They have my name written on it. Or my stuff finishes too quick. A gallon of milk, for example. I buy almond milk because I like taste. But it seems to finish after a week, even though I've only drank once or twice. I confronted R about this lots of times, and that's caused a lot of arguments. He outright denies it and tells me I'm crazy, even though it's so obvious. My other roommate and I carpool together because we both work the same early morning shifts around the same area, so I know it's not him. It's always after we get back home, and R's already left for work, that I notice my food's gone. My roommate also had a similar problem, but not as often as I do. I'm guessing because R doesn't like what he buys. The funny thing is, R buys a lot for himself, and is even more stingy about his food. He will literally point out what's his when he comes back from grocery shopping and tell us not to touch it. Last week, my milk was nearly empty again, and I got fed up. I went to the liquor store and bought regular dairy milk. I drank what was left of my almond milk and refilled the gallon with the one I bought. This was to catch/prove R is the one stealing since he's lactose intolerant. The next day, Saturday, we get back from work and R is pissed. He yelled at me that he was stuck in the bathroom for 40 minutes with diarrhea because of my milk. He was using it to make a shake. I only responded, so then you're the one who's been stealing. He freaking exploded. Yeah, he admitted he sometimes was drinking my milk and eating my food, but he was more mad that I switched milks than the fact that he was caught. I told him I wouldn't have done that if he'd just stopped taking my stuff from the fridge, or at least told the truth instead of trying to make it seem like I was making it up. My roommate backed me up and thought it was kind of funny he got payback for stealing from us. It's a little tense right now, and my roommate told me R is trying to convince him to agree to kick me out. Little does he know, we're both looking to move somewhere else because we're tired of his stuff. I told some buddies what happened, and a few think I was an a-hole for that. I feel like I'm not in the wrong here. He was taking my food and not even owning up to it, and I wanted to prove it. Does that make me the bad guy? Not the bad guy. As you said, if R wasn't stealing your food, he wouldn't have had a problem. Not the bad guy. There's a saying in Finnish that translates to greedy ones have a end, and I think that's what happened here. I agree. Like, how could you possibly be the bad guy in that situation? Your friends sound like bad friends. Am I in the wrong for giving my ex-wife a large amount of money I won despite the anger of my girlfriend? I recently won a FU amount of money. I won't say exactly how much, but it's in the millions. It makes me feel funny, even typing. It's enough to change the life of myself and my family. My ex-wife is the mother of my 2 kids. She is an amazing woman and good to the bone. We divorced 6 years ago because I had an affair with my current partner. I was in a low place in my life and I messed up. She was in incredible pain, but like a freaking saint, she allowed me to still see our kids, who mean the world to me. Allowed our divorce to be as pain-free as possible, despite the fact that I know she was hurting. She still is close friends with my parents. She is respectful to me, although she refuses to talk to my girlfriend. She was actually the first person I phoned after my mom and pops after I found out I won the lottery. She was pleased for me, joked that I could take kids on a world-round trip, and that was that. Nothing else. As soon as I won, I knew I wanted to give her a significant amount. I still love her. She's the mother of my babies, and I feel like this is some small tiny way I can show her that I'm not a complete mess up. She deserves to know that I care despite my mistakes. She also works a bad job in the public library, which pays her peanuts. She would actually be able to pursue her hobbies this way. Give her kids a better life between us. I haven't discussed this with my ex yet, but I have with my parents, who strongly agree, and my lawyer, who was very surprised, but on board. Long story short, when I told my girlfriend, she was livid, screaming that I'm disrespecting her, accused me of still being in love with my ex-wife. I'm not in love with her. We've both grown apart, but of course, I still love her for being an excellent co-parenting partner and mother to my kids. My GF is threatening to break up with me, and TBH, I'm feeling incredibly relieved over the threats. I don't plan on changing my plans, but am I in the wrong? Not in the wrong. Your money, your decision. I suspect the anger from your GF is probably just insecurity given the nature of how your relationship with her started, or it could be because of the money. It could be both. seems like that GF of yours is either a gold digger or just a bad person, or both. Am I bad for kicking out one of my bridesmaids for showing up in the wrong dress? My 23F wedding was back on Saturday, December 31st, and I'm still getting backlash from this. So I want to know if this was an a-hole move. In the country I live in, it's currently winter, and we get a fair amount of snow, so my wedding was a winter-themed wedding. The color theme was forest green and gold. My dress was obviously white, and I chose the color of my bridemaid's dress to be forest green as well. My maid of honor's dress was black, and everyone was to wear gold accessories. I have this friend, we'll call her Kat, that I asked to be one of my bridesmaids. When we went dress shopping and I told them the color theme I was going for, Kat immediately expressed that she thought forest green was a bad choice. She said that she thinks it's not a flattering color, and I thought I should choose something different and more girly. I said no, because my wedding was winter themed, and I thought the color would go perfect with the theme. She suggested a blue, pink, or even red. I said no, but thanks for your opinion. She found out my maid of honor's dress was black and asked if she could wear black too. I said no, only my maid of honor was wearing black. I paid for all the dresses. Fast forward to wedding day, and everyone's getting their hair and makeup done, and Kat shows up 30 minutes late, holding a bag that looked like it had a dress inside. I asked her what this was for. She told me it was for later on at the reception if she got uncomfortable and wanted to change after pictures. I was like, okay, cool. So fast forward, we're all dressed and walking down the stairs because the ceremony is beginning in 30 minutes, and we were going to take some pictures before. Kat is the last person to come down, and she's wearing a black dress. At the time, I was preoccupied taking pictures with my parents, but my maid of honor came over to me and made me aware of the situation. I confronted Kat and asked her what was going on. She said she hates her bridesmaid dress, as the color is ugly and makes her look gross, so she's wearing black. I told her please go back and change. She refused and started walking away from me. I said, I'm going to ask her one more time, and if she doesn't oblige, I'm calling security and kicking her out. She began yelling at me to F off, so I called security and asked them to please escort her out. She started making a big scene, yelling about how I'm such a brat, that I can't force her to wear anything, and that I'm a horrible, inconsiderate friend. The wedding went on, and it was truly amazing. Ever since the wedding, Kat has been blowing up my phone with texts, saying some really nasty things, and asking for the money back she spent on the black dress, since it was a waste and she didn't get to wear it. I had to block her number. Some of my other bridesmaids have been giving me crap, saying that it was a little harsh kicking her out and embarrassing her like that, and that maybe I should give her the money back. Am I wrong for kicking her out? Not wrong. You paid for her dress. She decided to do her own thing. Is she gonna pay you back for the money you spent on her? Not in the wrong. You paid for the dress. She agreed to be your bridesmaid, knowing that the dress was forest green. She was a jerk here and so rude. Telling it as it is. I mean, for sure. For sure. She is so in the wrong, and that is abysmal. Abysmal behavior from a friend. Someone who is good enough of a friend to be a bridesmaid. Am I the a-hole for not letting my best friend have her wedding on my property after being uninvited? One of my 29M best friends, Carla, 31F, is getting married soon. It's only meant to be a small backyard type of wedding, but they've been planning it for a few months now, and originally it was supposed to be on my property. They wanted it because it's private, has lots of open space for the reception, a nice view, and the house could be used for them to get ready and stuff. I said yes. She and her fiance Rick were very happy. Thing is, Carla and I do have a history. We went out on and off in college, but decided to stay friends. Then I met my wife. We got married. Carla met Rick, and now here they are. Now, my wife knows I went out with Carla back in college, and she didn't care. Carla still went to our wedding and everything. I never knew if Rick was told or not. It's not my relationship, therefore not my business to say anything, so I never did. Rick found out recently, and not in the best way. Not sure how, but from what I heard from friends is that one mutual friend told him. No idea why. We used to date. Not only that, but apparently Carla said a couple years ago she was still in love with me, and when she was already dating Rick. Don't have actual confirmation if that's exactly what he was told. All Carla's told me is that Rick was told about our past, and he's angry at her for never saying anything. It became quite a drama, and didn't hear from her for over a month until now. She told me they're going to couples counseling, and that the wedding is still on, but Rick requested that I not attend. It sucks, but I totally get why he wouldn't be comfortable. Then I asked the obvious question, where are they going to hold the wedding then? To my surprise, she said they still want it at our place. Rick said so too, and in my mind, I'm going, he doesn't want the guy who dated his fiance years ago at the wedding, but still wants the wedding at his house? My wife and I are expected to just not be at our home that weekend, and I told Carla no. They're gonna have to find someplace else since we're not going to simply leave our home to them for the weekend. Not only for safety reasons, but it just doesn't make sense. Rick doesn't want me around because he's not comfortable, but is comfortable enough to have their wedding at my house? They really want their wedding here, though, and because of that, I've been bugged by not only her, but also Rick and some friends who think I'm being a petty a-hole for not letting them have the wedding here anymore. Honestly, don't think that I am. It just doesn't make sense at all to have to leave our own place for a wedding we're no longer welcome to, and leaving our home totally vulnerable. Still, being accused of sabotaging their wedding, and Rick believes it's the least I can do after everything. Am I the a-hole? How dare he ruin his wife by dating her years before they even knew he existed? /S. Like, this is just so silly. Why are weddings always like this? Why are weddings so petty? When I get married, and that's, well, if I get married, I gotta find someone who likes me. But if I have someone who's in my life who I think would pull something like this, they're not coming. I'm not inviting them. I'm not doing any of it. Like, it's just so much stress and hassle, man, I tell you. Am I in the wrong for jumping out of a bathroom window to avoid my mom's attempt at forcing a reunion between me and my ex-fiance? Some backstory. I had been dating my ex-fiance Sarah for 4 years. We had been planning to get married in November 2020, but I found out at the start of the month that she cheated on me. She begged me to give her another chance, but I broke it off. The problem was that being cheated on is, in my mind, completely emasculating and humiliating, so I never told anyone that was the reason we broke up. For obvious reasons, Sarah also didn't tell people we broke up because she cheated. So people have blamed me for the breakup, including my mom. They just see that I dumped her out of the blue. I've gone very strict no contact with Sarah after I discovered she was cheating on me. Sarah has been talking with my mom and has convinced her that if we could talk one more time, we would be able to reconcile. My mom has been applying hardcore pressure on me to talk with Sarah, but I've explained that there's no chance we will ever get back together. So tonight, I go over to my mom's place because she's hosting family for Christmas Eve. I'm there for a bit talking with my aunts and uncles and cousins when the doorbell rings, and I can see it's Sarah. I ask what the frick is going on, and my mom says she invited Sarah so we can work this out in the spirit of the holidays. I'm pissed now because the only way to explain my side of the story is to tell everyone I was cheated on. Complete humiliation in front of my whole family. So as my mom goes to the front door, I go into the bathroom. My mom starts knocking on the door saying that I need to come out and talk to my ex like an adult. I say F it, kick out the window screen, and get in my car and go home. My mom called a short while ago saying she's cutting ties with me over my behavior. She's really fixated on me jumping out of a window, and that Sarah will always be like a child to her. My sister called called me after to ream me out for ruining Christmas. I broke down and told her that Sarah cheated on me, which is why I dumped her and didn't want to see her under any circumstances. She called me a big a-hole who was lying to cover for myself. Am I really in the wrong? Not the a-hole, but dude, you gotta tell them why you're acting like this. People will certainly feel a bit sorry for you, but they'll realize why you don't want to be in the same room with this girl. Not the a-hole. Your family has some serious issues with boundaries, and Sarah needs to get the hint and go away. I don't think it's emasculating and humiliating to say that you got cheated on. None of that's your fault. It's not humiliating. That is depressing. If my best friend came up to me and told me that their girlfriend cheated on them while they were engaged, I wouldn't think that's humiliating. I would be in shambles for him. You know, it's just messed up. You gotta be front and tell people why you're feeling this way. I know as a man, it's really hard to communicate your feelings, but you gotta. I learned that the hard way. So you gotta do it, man. Am I the a-hole for refusing to tell my husband the gender of our baby after he skipped going to the doctor's appointment with me? My husband and I are expecting. This is our first baby and we're excited. Thing is, he barely attends any doctor's appointments with me and his excuses aren't even valid. He's willing to miss the doctor appointment over soccer or a drink or board game with friends. His response is always, I'm not the one carrying the baby. Why do I have to go see the doctor with you? Last week was my final straw. He was supposed to come with me for the baby's gender reveal appointment, but he chose not to come last minute because his friend invited him to fish and chips meal. I was pretty livid, but didn't make a fuss about it. My mom went with me instead. He texted asking me to tell him the results, boy or girl, but I refused to tell him. He kept spam calling me, but I hung up each time. He came home fuming, demanding I tell him the results, but I refused and bluntly told him, since he refused to attend the appointment, then he gets no results till after the baby's born, and said I was willing to die on this hill. He went off, calling me spiteful and immature for doing this, and punishing him. He said he's the father and has the right to know. He then called me dramatic since I wasn't alone and mom was with me. I said he gets no results, period. He's been fuming about it and told his family, and they're now pressuring me to stop playing mind games with him and tell him, but I declined. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Already a deadbeat dad before the baby's even born. He's literally prioritizing fish and chips over his unborn baby. Is this really who you want to raise a child with? Seriously. Like, what gives? I'm not a kids guy, but hey, if you're gonna have a baby with someone, you need to be supported, alright? Step up. Am I wrong for using flashcards to explain to my brother and his wife why they can't bring their rainbow baby to my wedding? Oh my god. Okay, my fiance F and I are getting married. We've decided wedding's gonna be child-free. No hate towards children, just keep it more organized and contained. My brother Chris M and his wife F have a 3-year-old son who everyone calls a miracle or rainbow baby. He came after several failed pregnancies that lasted for years. When they found out my nephew was included in the no children rule, they tried to convince me to make an exception for him. Chris told me his son is a miracle baby and his presence at the wedding will bring blessings for me and my fiance. I refused and said no. The wedding is child-free. His wife kept sending my fiance pics of my nephew when he was months old. What that mean? I told him no and to stop. My brother told me this might cause a rift in our relationship. I again said no and explained that the wedding is child-free. He asked again and pointed out how his baby is different since he's a rainbow, a miracle baby. I again said no and explained that the wedding is child-free. They brought it up when they visited at my home, and I knew they weren't going to stop, so I made flashcards in advance with the phrase, the wedding is child-free, period, and pulled them out and started slowly showing them the flashcards one by one in this order. The wedding, with a sticker of the bride and the groom, is child, with a sticker of a baby, free, with a sticker of a crossed out sign, period, with a huge black dot sticker. They were both stunned. I asked if they get it now, and Chris had lost his crap. His wife had already grabbed her stuff and walked out. Chris called me an a-hole for doing this and said that I disrespected him, his wife, and their son, who's my one and only nephew. He rushed out after we argued. My fiance saw the whole thing and thought it was funny, but my parents and Chris are livid beyond measure. They're telling everyone about the amount of disrespect and mockery I had displayed towards them, and I'm being told to fix it now. Not the a-hole. That is goddamn hilarious. They kept pushing the boundary, and you held it firm in probably the funniest way possible. Should have told them all babies are miracles, but that you were having a miracle-free wedding. They're gonna bring the child to the wedding. Not if they're not invited, they're not. Am I the a-hole for suing my parents for my college money? My great aunt set up savings accounts for all of her female relatives. In our culture, education for women is not really valued, and she thought that was BS. She lived with her father in London where she was educated. She went on to attend university and became a doctor. She married a British man, they moved to America and had a great life. She funded the education of as many of her nieces and grandnieces as she could. When she passed away, she left money for every girl relative she could. My parents managed to access the accounts that were set up for my sister and I. They used it to pay for my brother's wedding. My sister didn't care because she got married 2 years out of high school and had no intention of going to college. When I graduated, I went to the bank to get money for school and it was almost all gone. There was like $13,000 left. I asked my parents about it and they said they needed the money. I finally found out where the money went. I got furious, I got student loans, and moved out. I'm a great source of shame to them and I don't give two fricks. I'm currently suing them for the money that was left for me. My entire family is against me and they all think I'm a complete a-hole for airing private family business in public and that I'm putting money ahead of family. My friends are all on my side, but they are all Americans so don't really get my culture. Neither do I, to be honest. My brother called me up and offered to pay for my university if I dropped the lawsuit. I agreed as long as we had a legally binding contract. He said I was being an a-hole for not trusting him. I said he should not have accepted my money for his wedding. It's causing all kinds of embarrassment in our community. I'm somewhat ashamed to be doing this, but I don't want to have this debt I should not have. Not the a-hole. Your parents stole from you. They're in the wrong no matter how uncomfortable that makes your family. I'm not a lawyer, but if you're in the middle of a lawsuit, it's probably not wise to discuss it on the internet. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Sue their greedy ass into the ground and good luck getting what you deserve. Spoken true. I really don't have anything else to add to that. How could you possibly think you're the a-hole trying to get money back that your parents stole from you that wasn't theirs? Am I in the wrong for throwing them out of the house that we own? Son and future in-laws decided to exclude his family from wedding. They thought son owned the house, not us. My wife and I bought a 4-bedroom house in PA that my son lives in. Our son went to college in PA and wanted to stay in the area, so we bought the house as a second home. We live in New Jersey and commute to Manhattan for work. We figured that we would have a place to live and we could visit every so often and spend some quality time together. We pay the taxes and services / maintenance on the house. Our son pays for his groceries and the house utilities. All was going well for a few years. Our son meets a girl and they get serious. We meet her and she seems nice enough. They announce their engagement and she moves into the house with our son. Now for the problem, the wedding. We hold a little get-to-know-you barbecue at the PA house. My son and daughter are there, and our son's fiance and her parents and sisters are there. We all seem to be getting along well. My wife, daughter, and the fiance go into the house along with her mother and sisters and my son. A few minutes later, my wife and daughter come out and are really upset. They come over and tell me that we're leaving and we're driving back to New Jersey. I try to find out what happened, and once we get back to New Jersey and they calm down, they tell me that our son and his fiance, along with her family, don't want us at the wedding. According to what I was told, we're not their kind of people. I was livid. I called my son and asked him WTH this was about. He tells me that her family feel that we are not good enough and will embarrass them at a family wedding, that we are all uninvited from the wedding. I let a week go by to calm myself down and drive back to the PA house. The new future in-laws are in the house along with the fiance. It appears they are all moved into the house. They ask me why I'm there. I tell them that since we aren't invited to the wedding, I was coming over to talk to my son. They tell me to leave their house. I lost it and told them that they had 30 days to get out. Tell my son I'm selling the house and he could find somewhere else to live with all of you. I go to a realtor in town and list the house for sale. They call my son at work and tell him what I said. Apparently, they thought that he owned the house. He calls me and asks why I'm selling his house. I tell him I paid for it along with the taxes on it and it's mine. He was living there